If you no longer had to pay for rent or a mortgage payment, how would your life change? In this video, I'm talking all about the strategy that has quite literally transformed our lives, enabled us to live for free, and build wealth through real estate. By the way, I'm Shay Green and I'm a realtor with Impact Realty Tampa Bay. My husband Josh and I have helped hundreds of people build wealth through real estate in the Tampa Bay area. So if you're interested in buying or selling here, please reach out, give me a call, text, or shoot me an email. It's no secret that housing costs have become so astronomical, especially in recent years. The typical American spends at least 1/3 of their income on housing, and in fact, most of the time that number is even higher, especially in big cities. Like, I know in Miami, it's over 50% of most people's income is going towards housing, and this especially impacts younger generations. So whether it's paying rent or your mortgage, it can be such a burden and be difficult to make ends meet. So my husband and I realized this back in 2018. So we started researching ways to decrease our housing payment. And we came across a strategy called house hacking. And house hacking is a real estate investment strategy where you buy a multi-unit property. It could be a duplex or larger. You live in one of the units and rent out the others to help cover your mortgage payment. And there's actually so many different ways to do this. You can do it the more traditional way like we did, where you buy a duplex, or sometimes people will buy a larger house with a lot of bedrooms, and especially if you're single or like a young professional, you live in one of the rooms and you rent out the other rooms to friends. So we bought our first house hack back in 2019, back in Salt Lake City, Utah. It was a 2-unit property and it cost around $350,000. Our mortgage payment ended up being about $1,800 per month, which fortunately back then interest rates were low. It's a little bit different now, but we are still house hacking even now. So I'll get to that part in a second. But our first house hack, the mortgage payment was $1,800 and it had a top unit and a bottom basement unit. We lived in the top unit and rented out the bottom unit for about $1,200 per month. The income from that unit was great, but our goal was to completely live for free. So we actually also rented out a bedroom in our unit upstairs to completely cover the mortgage and utilities costs. And we rented that upstairs bedroom to a sweet older Scottish woman named Laura. She was so great to live with, and she was always baking Scottish shortbread. And it was just a great experience, and it didn't feel like a big sacrifice to rent out a room in our own space. And this first house hack enabled us to save a lot more money since we were not paying a mortgage payment, and we were able to buy our second house hack a little over a year later. This property was also a 2-unit. It was a little bit more expensive at just over $400,000, and our mortgage payment was about $1,900 per month. And actually, we made such good friends with our current roommate, Laura, that she actually moved with us to our new house hack to again rent a room and bathroom in our unit. And then again, this was a 2-unit property and we rented out the basement apartment. So we were able to buy our second house hack just over a year later and keep our first house hack, rent out both of the units fully now, and actually make an income on that property. And next, we decided to make the move from Salt Lake City to sunny Tampa, Florida, which was a great decision for us, but we wanted to continue to utilize this house hacking strategy. And I'm actually sitting in our current house hack in Florida. We actually bought it with a 7.75% interest rate, and the numbers still work. But in order for it to work, the other unit that's at our property, we actually Airbnb or short-term rent to give us more income that nearly covers our entire mortgage payment. Our payment is about $2,300 a month on this property, and the income from the other unit generates about $2,000 to $2,400 per month. And because it had been several years since we bought our properties back in Utah, they had gained a lot of appreciation. So last year, we actually decided to sell one of our Utah properties and wrap it into a higher cash flowing property out here. And that's kind of our plan for right now. We're not moving each year anymore. We are staying in this house hack because we love it, and we're just buying other investment properties that we don't live in. This strategy has absolutely changed our lives. It's enabled us to get into real estate when it was super expensive, and has helped us build wealth through appreciation and cash flow. And at this point, we're finally starting to see some of the fruits of that as we're selling our older properties and wrapping it into higher cash flowing ones. So people often ask if this strategy is even possible in 2024. And I'm here to tell you that it absolutely is. We help people every single year, almost every single month, house hack here in Tampa Bay. There's so many different options between just renting the other unit in your property long-term, or if you're in a good area for short-term rentals, you can make a ton of cash flow that way as well. So we've helped so many people live for free or even make money on their current home by renting out other parts of it. Let's talk about some of the cons of house hacking. If this is the first time you've heard about this strategy, you're probably thinking, why in the world would I rent out part of my home to a stranger? That sounds super weird. And honestly, after doing it for several years, this is totally just normal to us. We were young, just out of college at the time when we started doing it, so we were used to having roommates. So this strategy honestly works best for people who are younger, but we've also helped families do this. And it honestly just comes down to what sacrifices you're willing to make. Some of the most comfortable house hacks are ones where we have a single family home and a guest house that's detached but still on the property. So you have a lot of privacy and a lot of space. We've even helped people buy house hacks where you have separate yards, separate driveways. So you really don't have to see your tenant if you don't want to. But there is something called the comfortability and profitability spectrum, and typically the more comfortable your situation is, the less profitable it is. And then if you go on the other side and get a little bit more uncomfortable, it's typically more profitable. So a lot of the really profitable house hacks we see are where you're also renting out space in your own unit in addition to renting space in the other units. So it's really just up to your preference and how comfortable you are with sharing your space. If you want to learn more about house hacking, there's a couple things you can do. First off, if you're in the Tampa Bay area, please reach out. We help people all the time use this strategy, so we're happy to talk about the different options and different areas and properties that we would recommend for this strategy. And then in general, I learned so much about this strategy from the Bigger Pockets forums and their podcast. I'll link the podcast and some of their books in the description. So go ahead and check those out, especially if you're new to this strategy. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. See ya.